All right, let's be honest. Have you ever taken a photo of a truly magnificent bird? You look down at your camera and, that sinking feeling of disappointment just hits you? Yeah, we've all been there. But what if I told you that turning those frustrating shots into actual works of art really just comes down to mastering one single, powerful setting? Well, today we're going to master that setting together.
So you see it, right? The bird is perched perfectly against this beautiful sky. You snap the picture and it's a silhouette. All that amazing detail just lost in shadow. It is one of the most common frustrations in bird photography, and believe me, we're going to fix it for good. Here's the secret. The problem isn't you, it's your camera's default programming.
So, let's meet the villain of our story today. It's your camera's light meter. And you know what? It's obsessed with one thing, making everything average out to this neutral 18% gray. So if it sees a super bright scene, what does it do? It darkens it. Sees a dark scene, it tries to brighten it up. It's always trying to find that boring middle ground. And for us, as bird photographers, that's exactly where all the trouble starts.
Think about it. Bird photography is a world of extremes, right? You've got brilliant bright skies, you've got deep dark forests, you've got snowy white birds and jet black feathers. Letting your camera just aim for that middle gray average is pretty much a recipe for failure. It just can't understand what you, the artist, are trying to do. But you can.
And this is where our hero enters the scene, exposure compensation. This is your way of talking to your camera, of telling it, hey, I know you think this scene should be middle gray, but you're wrong. We need more light. So, when do we call on this hero? Let's dive in.
Okay, here's classic problem number one. Your camera sees that incredibly bright sky and it basically freaks out. It thinks, whoa, that's way too bright. So it cuts back the exposure to turn the sky into a medium tone, and in the process, it plunges your subject, the bird, into total darkness. The solution here is so direct and so powerful. You just dial in some positive exposure compensation. Usually, you'll bump it up 1 or 2 stops. This forces the camera to let in more light, and suddenly, boom, you're revealing all that beautiful detail that you saw with your own eyes. All right, next up, you're shooting a gorgeous egret in the snow. I mean, the whole scene is overwhelmingly white. Your camera panics again, it thinks the scene is way too bright, so it darkens everything down. And the result? Your brilliant white bird and that pure white snow now look like a dull, flat, totally uninspired shade of gray.
And you guessed it, you have to override the camera. By adding that positive compensation, you're basically saying, no, this scene is supposed to be bright. Let the whites be white. It's such a simple command, but it completely restores that clean, brilliant look you were going for.
Now this one is a little bit of a variation on the backlight problem, but it happens all the time. The bird might be perched against some bright leaves or maybe a shiny reflective surface. The camera does its job, it exposes for that big, bright background, and once again, your main subject gets left in the dark. And this really gets to the core of what we're doing here. You are taking control. When you dial in that positive compensation, you are prioritizing your subject. You're making a conscious choice that says the bird's exposure is way more important than the background's. But hey, it's not always about adding more light. Sometimes, to get that absolutely perfect shot, you actually need to tell your camera to darken the image. So let's flip the script and look at when to use negative compensation. Okay, picture this. A bird against a really dark, shadowy forest. Your camera sees all that black and it thinks, oh no, this is way too dark, I've got to brighten it up. So it cranks up the exposure, turning those beautiful rich shadows into a kind of muddy gray and making your subject look flat and washed out. So to fix this, you dial in negative compensation. This tells the camera, hey, keep those darks dark. And the result is so much better. You get this dramatic, powerful image where that rich black background makes your perfectly exposed subject just pop right out of the frame. It's fantastic. The classic raven or crow problem. The bird itself is the dominant dark thing in the frame. Your camera's meter tries to fix this by brightening the whole shot, turning those beautiful, maybe even iridescent black feathers into a dull, lifeless gray. By using negative compensation, you're commanding the camera to see black as true, deep black. And this doesn't just make the color accurate, it also brings out all the subtle textures and details inside those feathers that get totally lost when the camera incorrectly brightens the image. Now this one's a tricky situation. You've got this super dramatic scene, a dark forest, and a single beam of light hits a bird just perfectly.
But the camera sees all the dark surroundings, and it drastically overexposes the shot to try and balance it all out, completely blowing out the highlights on that beautiful sunlit bird.
In this case, your number one job, your absolute priority, is to protect the detail in those sunlit feathers. Using negative compensation darkens the entire image, which makes sure those bright spots don't get blown out to pure white. You get to preserve every last bit of that beautiful texture.
Okay, so we've totally mastered fixing problems. Now, let's take this to the next level. Because exposure compensation isn't just a corrective tool, it's your primary creative tool. It's how you define the mood and the style of your photographs. This brings us to two really powerful artistic choices. You can intentionally overexpose to create what's called a high-key image. It's bright, it's airy, perfect for small, cute birds. Or you can intentionally underexpose for a low-key image. Dark, moody, fantastic for creating drama, especially with birds of prey. See? This is you, the artist, making a deliberate choice. So before you head out into the field, let's just lock in the golden rules. Think of these as the non-negotiables that are going to lead you to consistent success.
Okay, listen up, because this is probably the single most important technical rule in all of digital photography. I mean it. You can almost always recover detail from dark shadows when you're editing later. But once a highlight is blown out, I mean it's just pure white, that information is gone. Poof. Forever. It's an empty void you can never ever get back. So protect your highlights at all costs.
So this gives us a really clear checklist for every single shoe. Number 1, always protect those highlights. Number 2, learn to read your camera's histogram. That's the real data, not just the pretty picture on your screen. And number 3, shoot in RAW. This format gives you the absolute maximum flexibility to perfect the image later, usually from a data-rich, slightly darker starting point.
And really, this is what it all comes down to. Anyone can take a picture that just records that a bird was there. But by thoughtfully and intentionally using exposure compensation, you transform that simple record into a piece of art, one that has emotion and mood and your unique vision.
So there you have it. You now have the knowledge to take complete creative control of your camera. You understand the problem, you have the solution, and you've got the rules for success. The only question left is, what story do you want to tell?